What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with something very special. It is a flashback to just about 1 year ago when I talked to now former, at that time, currently the president of the Houston Texans, Jamey Rootes. He talks about quite a lot of stuff in here, but I know that there's going to be a lot of talk about Deshaun Watson, and it might give you a little bit of a hint into the organization because even though he tried to politically deflect some of the answers to make it seem like everything's perfectly fine, there were a couple of things in there that could definitely give a little bit of a highlight to the situation. Regardless, I'm not trying to break anything special here. I just wanted to bring you guys some content that you might not have seen because only a couple of thousand saw it. And I know there's more of you here now than there was back then. And honestly, it's something I'm very, very proud of. So I'm proud to just bring it to you guys for fun content. If you guys like it, awesome. If you guys just don't like it, well, there's going to be plenty more content for you guys. So again, not trying to break any news here. It's just a good old flashback to something that I am very proud of for the channel. So thank you guys for watching and enjoy the video. Peace. What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back here with another video. And today we have God's blessing in being able to interview Houston Texans President Jamey Rootes. Jamey, welcome to the channel. I'm going to let you actually introduce yourself. I was going to give you a quick little intro, but you know, you've been a really nice guy. You've been talking to me for a little bit. I'm going to let you have the honor of being able to introduce yourself. Welcome to the channel.
Oh, Alex, it's great to be with you. I just really have tremendous admiration for what you've done in building this base of people that are interested in sports and to do it so early in your career. So it's, if you don't mind, I'll just begin at the beginning. So really things started to gel for me career-wise when I was at Clemson University. So I wanted to go to Georgia, but Georgia didn't have a soccer program. And so Clemson was as close to Georgia as I could get and still be able to play top level soccer. I'd always been the best player on my team growing up. And then when I went to Clemson, it was kind of a rude awakening. I mean, it was an incredible base of talent, some really great players, and a team that was consistently among the best in the country. My freshman year, we won a national championship. My senior year, we won a national championship. And I started to get into academics for the first time. In fact, I remember it was at the end of my first semester, I went to the mailbox and pulled out this letter and read it. And I called my mom. I said, "Mom, you're not going to believe this. The guy here is the dean, and he's got his eye on me. He's got a list, and he's keeping track of me."
Okay.
She said, "You idiot. It's called the dean's list. Every school's got that. You must have gotten a 3.5 or above." And I did. And so anyway, after we won a championship my fourth year, we had been given another year by our coach, and I only needed about 14 hours to graduate.
Okay.
So I was like, what am I going to do with my time? So I was down at the Citrus Bowl, and the president of the student body was there, and it was about midnight. And he said, "You should run for student body president." And I was like, that is a great idea. So I did. It was a great leadership opportunity, something that really started to propel me forward. When I left Clemson, I didn't know I had to go get a job. I thought this was going to go on forever.
Yeah.
And I'd never really thought about what I wanted to do for a living beyond playing soccer.
Okay.
So I took a job at IBM, and I was in sales. I kind of thought at the time, this was like 1989, that these computer things, that they were going to kind of take off. And I would need to know about that. I didn't know that it was going to transform every piece of life on the planet. But that was good. The sales experience, the people that I got to know, but I really wasn't fulfilled. I came to the conclusion that I either wanted to work in a sports business or I wanted to be a coach, because I'd always coached. I was still in high school and I was running soccer academies, right? So I loved coaching. So I went to Indiana, and it gave me that opportunity to coach, to get an MBA, and to work in the athletic department. At the end of those 2 years, I was really clear. I want to work in a sports business, but I didn't have a job. And so the spring of my second year, I took what was the marquee job out of Indiana to be a brand manager at Procter & Gamble.
Okay.
Never thinking I would ever go there, right? I was going to the World Cup in Chicago to work. And of course, someone's going to hire me. And they're going to give me my entree into sports, but it didn't happen. So I went to Procter & Gamble and continued all the relationships in the sports industry. And about 9 months in, two things happened simultaneously. A guy by the name of Don Rawson. Don was an assistant coach at Indiana, and he was my boss in Chicago for the World Cup. He was one of the top venue guys.
Okay.
Well, Don called me. He said, I got a job with Reebok. I got something for you. I need a global category manager for soccer. I was like, awesome. That's great. Give me a little time, because I had an interview with Lamar Hunt and Tim Connolly and Clark Hunt up in Columbus, Ohio, to talk about this new league called Major League Soccer. So I drove up there and I spent the whole day with Lamar. We walked Ohio Stadium. We'll tarp these seats off. We'll get about 26,000, blah, blah, blah. Talked about religion, talked about family, talked about everything other than jobs.
Yeah.
And I'm driving home and I'm thinking, you know what? I think I got the job, but I have no idea what job they were interviewing me for. So when I got back to Procter & Gamble, Tim Connolly, who worked for Lamar, he was the head of business operations for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Ooh.
He called me and he said, hey, the interview went great. We're not really sure what's going to happen with the league, but just sit tight. Hopefully at some point in time it opens up and we'd love to talk to you again.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if you're not ready to offer me a job, I've got an offer to be the global category manager for Reebok, for the sport of soccer. And I can't take it another minute here, Tim. And so he said, don't take that job. Go sit by your fax machine. So my fax machine starts humming and I see the Kansas City Chiefs helmet.
Ooh.
His letterhead says, we want to hire you as the general manager of a yet to be determined Major League Soccer franchise.
Okay.
It may be in Kansas City. It may be in Columbus. We don't really know. So I said yes and took off, actually originally for Kansas City. Was trying to, lead the startup of the two teams. Eventually they hired a GM in Kansas City. So I went to Columbus.
Okay.
And spent 5 years there. We built this first soccer specific stadium in the United States, Crew Stadium. Now it's called Matt Free Stadium, I believe. And then I got a call from a headhunter. Her name is Buffy Philippel. She was the original executive placement person in the sports industry. Oh. And so Buffy said, hey, would you like to work in the NFL? I said, sure, love to work in the NFL. Where? Houston. I said, that's great, Buffy, but they don't have an NFL team. She said they're going to. This guy, Bob McNair, has just spent $750 million to get the club. And not many people in the world have startup sports experience other than you. And that was it.
Wow. That is surprising. I didn't realize, I forgot how new the Houston Texans organization was. So, wow, that took me back that I didn't even get to, represent. I totally forgot about, I didn't get to even see the fact that you were a GM in the MLS.
I was president and general manager of the Columbus Crew. Then I led the building of the stadium. So I was president of the stadium company. And then coming to Houston, being the senior vice president of sales and marketing was actually a dramatic reduction in my responsibilities. Really? But it was in a much bigger pool, right? I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than the National Football League.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously you gave a big background on everything that you've done. So obviously my fans know you because I've definitely talked about you plenty of times on Twitter and on my channel as the president of the Houston Texans. Can you give a little bit of light to what you do as the president of the Houston Texans for them?
Yeah, that's a good question. Fortunately for me, they made it easy. They draw lines around the field, the gridiron. So if it happens on there, I don't do it. If it doesn't happen on there, I pretty much do it, right? So really, I lead the business operations of the team. It's not the coach. It's not the general manager. They both report to the owner. I do all of the administrative functions, all the sales and marketing and legal and human resources, IT. We actually have a whole broadcasting company. We have another events company called Lone Star Sports and Entertainment that I oversee as well. So those are the things that I'm involved with. Okay. And it's really an interesting role. I mean, it's just, I'm somewhat ADD. I'm non-diagnosed. Yeah. And so this job really fits well for me because I'm moving from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next all day long. I mean, stay super busy, trying to solve problems, working with people to take advantage of opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really exciting. There's always something new that we can be doing. It's all just a matter of what capacity do we have. And when things slow down, I'm just notorious for filling that gap with something new, like during COVID, right? So COVID happens, and what do? I go out and start a fitness brand, Texans Fit.
Okay.
And we now have 6 facilities across the city that are, trained like the pros is the platform. So we had a little bit of time. We created a completely new business.
Wow. Hey, that's adjusting pretty damn well. Because I was actually
I wrote a book.
Well, I guess obviously I could probably put down your books in the description as well for people to go and check them out as well. Because I know that you're also an author, which we'll talk a little bit more about that as time goes on. But switching to, obviously going off the idea of like pivoting and kind of like taking what you can get, you guys have been pretty in the news for the past year and a half, 2 years. So if you could give me a little bit of light as to the DeAndre Hopkins trade, this Deshaun Watson rumors, how has that affected the business side of football rather than just the roster side of football?
Yeah, so when you think about the book, The Winning Game Plan, that's what it's all about. The book is not about winning on the field. It's about how do you create a business that can withstand the ups and downs that naturally happen in the National Football League. If you took every team who's ever played in professional sports all time, put it into a computer, you would find out that everybody goes 500.
Yeah.
Over time.
Yeah.
And especially in the NFL, because the rules are designed to pull teams down and to lift teams up. Yeah. You think about draft position, the strength of schedule. There's all kinds of things that bring everybody together. And when you add to it that we all have the same resources for players, everybody ought to go 8-8. And so there's got to be something more to what you're providing. And that's what we focus on. We focus on the experience that people have when they come to our games. Houston's the most diverse city in America. We live our lives Monday to Saturday as individuals. Okay. But on Sunday, we come together. We are one. We are Texans.
Yeah.
The service level that they're provided, the value proposition, the involvement that we have in the community. All of these things are designed to insulate you from the on-field perception, good or bad, because it's been good. I think we won 4 of the last 6 AFC South championships. That's not bad, right? Little challenge right now, a little stumbly, but we'll get it back. Every team in the league, all 32 begin the season with one goal.
Okay. To
win a championship.
Yeah.
And you know how many teams go home disappointed? 31. 31 out of 32 go home disappointed. But you know what? That's what we signed up for. If you got to put your big boy pants on if you're going to be in the National Football League.
That's 100% true. Yeah. Okay. So going off that, because obviously I know that you're working your best to try to promote a good brand image and then be able to keep customer loyalty, this stuff like that, right? So with the idea of Andre Johnson putting out tweets saying that your organization ruins players, get Deshaun Watson out of there, the whole entire Bill O'Brien incident, how are you able to continue pushing through that? And does that actually really have an impact on the business side? Because we see it always in the news and it's their job to blow stuff up out of nowhere. But how about like the actual numbers? Does that actually like make a difference inside the organization?
So again, the book that I wrote, The Winning Game Plan, is a great example of how you react to situations like that. You can't control it. Can't control it. And so there's a chapter on handling adversity and handling success.
Yeah.
And for 20 years, I've found the 4 plays that I laid out in terms of handling adversity overcomes all adversity.
Okay.
Your mind has to be right. You got to stay focused. You got to work hard.
Yeah.
But every team has a level of adversity. It just happens in the NFL.
Of course.
And it happens in business, but not to the extent that it happens in sports. I mean, you're
Yeah.
either way up here or you're way down here. There's no, level. But what you have to do as a leader is get everybody to level, to embrace that this is what's happened to us. This is what we're going to do about it.
Yeah.
The media is loving us. We're not nearly as good as what they're saying. We got to work harder. We got to stretch further. We got to go harder, you know? So, so those are the things that I think about, not what's happening, but how do we respond to it?
Okay. So obviously something that might need to be responded to in the coming weeks/months, especially with big quarterback trades going on, is of course the biggest man in the room, Deshaun Watson. So obviously you're a Clemson guy. I know that you and I have talked about this in the prior to the actual filming of this video. Obviously you guys want to keep him there because, I mean, duh, you don't let Michael Jordan go. But of course, you're talking about adapting to things that are out of your control. And under the situation that Deshaun Watson does end up leaving, how do you think that can affect your business? And I'm going to back it up with another question right now. If you are in the situation right now with all these unknowns, what is the most critical thing to do to basically be able to improve the Texans' visibility to the people as well as to the media? What's the biggest step?
Well, the key, as it relates to Deshaun, we've just had a change in the leadership of our football team. We have a new GM. We have a new head coach. Communication is the key. We can all get back on the same page. There's a lot of time till we play football again. So there needs to be some connection, some reconciliation, and just move forward. I know for sure our front office staff has no desire for Deshaun to go anywhere. I know that I don't want Deshaun to go anywhere. And I know our fans don't want Deshaun to go anywhere. But it's a great story, right? It's a great story. Those guys have to fill 24 hours a day. And so if they can get something meaty like this to talk about that creates interest and buzz, you know, that's their job. But all we need to do is communicate with clarity, be honest and open, and create a structure that allows Deshaun to be the very best quarterback that he can be.
Okay, so I don't know if you can answer this personally, but I don't think Deshaun Watson's ever going to watch this or anybody of that importance. However, do you think that Deshaun's reaction to not being in the GM hiring process is valid? Because personally, I don't know if a quarterback, albeit nicknamed Michael Jordan, really should have the impact of being able to choose a GM. I know Brett Favre said, like, I sure as hell did not be able to select the GM for the Packers. So I'm just curious to what your thoughts are on that, if you're able to share them.
So, I just don't think anybody knows right now exactly where Deshaun's head is, what he wanted, what he didn't want. I mean, all we see is, a couple of tweets and then media members starting to suggest that maybe this and that, and this is what's behind it. We don't know. What needs to happen is to be behind closed doors to talk as men and lay out what it is that's important to you and try to get on the same page. And it can happen. It absolutely can happen. And I hope it happens.
Yeah. So I know you're talking about communication is key, which is probably the golden rule of every single relationship, business or personal, in the history of mankind. How do you feel like that's going, given the fact that Deshaun is not really cooperating in the communication currently?
Well, I mean, it's been like 100 hours since David Culley was hired, right? So we got to give we just have to give it a little bit of time.
Okay.
Let's let it settle down and we'll work through it. So has it been the greatest patch in Houston Texans history? No, but you can quickly recover from that.
Okay. So speaking of quickly recovering, there are rumors. I know that obviously you guys want to keep Deshaun Watson, but there is the phrase that every single person has a price, correct? Like, I'm pretty sure if a team offers every single first round pick for the future of their franchise, it might be worth Michael Jordan, right? So under that assumption, and of course you guys are not going to be trading Deshaun Watson from what you say, there are two teams that are really in the buzz right now, the Dolphins and the Jets, which
I hope that he doesn't go to the Jets. I'm not a fan of the Jets. I love Joe Douglas, and Robert Saleh, just not a fan of those damn green uniforms. I'm gonna be honest. But
you've got your priorities.
Yes, I do. But under the condition that you guys are offered a potential future, Tua Tagovailoa was literally the number 5 pick last year. And, you guys have invested a lot in your offensive line and all this. What do you think is the price tag? Because I've heard 4 first rounders. It might have been by Nick Caserio. He might have mentioned the number 4 first. Probably not. I'm not sure. I just heard that number buzzing around. What do you think would be a valid type of trade offer? Obviously, doesn't need to get specific, but
yeah, that I'm way out over my skis here. So okay. This is that's what Nick specializes in, and so okay. Nick doesn't tell me what to price our tickets, and I don't tell him who to trade what for. So that's right. They know what they're doing. Very sophisticated front office staff, and if there is a great deal to be had, I'm sure they'll listen to it. But absent something Herschel Walker-esque, you're probably watching number 4 in deep steel blue on Sunday.
I hope so. But okay, coming from you as a Clemson guy, if he weren't on the Texans, I'm not saying where would you want him to be traded. Where would you think he'd have the most success from the buzzed trade partners? That's like New England, pretty much the entire NFC East at this point, besides the Bills, that type of stuff.
I think he has his greatest opportunity for success in 77005 okay. in Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
I do believe that he is the quarterback that can lead this team to a championship. Mm-hmm. And I expect that he's going to have an open mind. He's going to have a good conversation with Coach Culley and with Nick and talk about the things that it takes for him to be successful. And, he's had a great run here. The fans love him. He loves the fans. He loves this city. And so we're focused on making that happen.
Obviously, he's a great guy. What led to the signing of Culley for you guys? Because I know there are guys like Eric Bieniemy out there. There, of course, was the Rams defensive coordinator that just went to, of course, the other Los Angeles team. There was a lot of, I'm pretty sure the Bills defensive coordinator was also in talks with going around. Robert Saleh. What made you guys want to go after Culley the most?
Well, I was involved early on in the search process, and David's name was absolutely on the list.
Yeah.
Once Nick was hired, that became his job. Him and Cal going out and finding the coach. So we were favorably predisposed to David Culley, but exactly what the details were as to why he was the final choice, that's a question better for somebody else.
Okay, that's fair. So right now you're in a division with, of course, the Colts. So obviously one of the greats just retired from Indianapolis, Phillip Rivers. How do you think that they should be progressing in, of course, an ever-growing division with, of course, every single team essentially will have a starting caliber quarterback as of this next fall, Trevor Lawrence. And then, of course, Indianapolis, they're kind of down to Jacob Eason at this point. So what do you think that their moves should be, their best move should be in order to remain relevant in your own division? Since you guys know
overall, I'll tell you, that is a really great organization.
Yeah.
It's a great football team. Mm-hmm. Chris Ballard is an outstanding general manager. Frank Reich is just an amazing coach.
Oh, yeah.
The quarterback is probably the question mark that they've got to resolve.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, hate to compliment the folks that we go head to head with twice a year, but they're really good. And it'll be a big challenge for us.
I chose them to go to the AFC Championship. I'm going to be honest. I thought they're going to go. They're a really good organization, and they love to build the line. Speaking of building the line, you guys do have the number 1, arguably, left tackle in the entire NFL that you did trade. Right now, the number 3 overall pick plus last year's pick 4. So do you think that was worth it, given the fact that, of course, you guys are not going through the best stretch throughout your entire organization's career? Do you think it was worth it, given the draft?
I can't get into the X's and O's and pluses and minuses, but I will tell you, when you look at a football team, there are 2 positions that rise above all others. I mean, the quarterback and the left tackle.
Yeah.
And the good Lord only made so many of those guys, right? And everybody who doesn't have a quarterback or a left tackle is trying as hard as they can to get a marquee quarterback and a left tackle.
Yep.
So that's the blessing is regardless of, how you evaluate the deal, that's for somebody else to do. You have those two positions locked up, which is a great situation to be in.
Obviously. So obviously you have both those two positions locked down, hopefully for next season. Obviously the future, we don't know, but the future is hopeful for Deshaun to be coming back. And then you have Laremy Tunsil there. So where do you think in this coming up draft, you guys need to focus most on, offense or defense? Given the fact that, of course, DeAndre Hopkins did get traded away. Well, technically he's been traded away almost 12 months ago. So obviously with his departure, which side is more important? Which side?
Alex, you're always trying to build on both sides of the ball. And so it's way too early to be drawing conclusions. The guys are, doing Senior Bowl and lots of tape work. And then you got the combine. So there's a lot of time that needs to go by before we could prioritize what we want to get accomplished. And that's the interesting thing about the draft is you can have an idea of what you want to go get accomplished, but you never know who's going to be available when you select, right? And so you got to be very disciplined with your draft board and make sure you don't overreach for a player. The saying, and it's cliche because it's true, the best available athlete, right? So when you select, if you're really true to your board, you're going to pick the best available athlete. And if not, you're going to trade out of that position, either backwards or forwards, in order to get who it is you really want.
Okay. So do you think that, let's just say Deshaun stays, and let's just say do you think that if he does stay, he will have a big impact on the drafting strategy, similar to how Patrick Mahomes dictated their first round pick with Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Or do you think that maybe still the power will still be more in the GM/player personnel type of people?
I love where you're heading, Alex. But I got to tell you, my eyesight is right on number 4.
Okay.
Not going anywhere.
Yep.
If we ever have to deal with that situation, then we'll have to restack things. Yep. But right now it's having number 4 play in Battle Red and Deep Steel Blue and Liberty White.
Okay. So with all that said, obviously we have a guy in Bill O'Brien who he's an amazing coach from Penn State, right? He was a pretty solid head coach. People have some very big issues with his GMing. Obviously, we're not.
But he won a lot of football games for us too. I'll remind you.
He definitely did. He had did he have a winning record as well? Like he did a pretty good job.
We won 4 out of 5 divisions with him.
Yeah, no, he definitely is a very talented coach.
And just so you know, it's really hard to win in this league.
Yeah, I know. As time progresses, more and you'll think that Mitchell Trubisky is bottom tier quarterback, but I'm telling you, probably 10, 15 years ago, his talents are amazing. It's crazy how the league continues to evolve with talent and stuff to where it's the best teams don't ever have a guaranteed win. It just right. It shows why Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes is so special is because they can put you over the top when everybody's neck and neck.
That's why these games are so fun and exciting because you walk in and the worst feeling to have when I walk in on a Sunday is there's no way these guys are going to beat us. Yeah. That's how I know we're going to lose, right? Because you underestimate it's natural to underestimate your opponent. But each team's got outstanding players, and on any given Sunday, and the other thing about the league is the NFL is the greatest reality TV show program ever. It's better than Big Brother. It's better than Survivor. It's better than the Bachelor or the Bachelorette.
Yeah.
Just think about it. In the Bachelorette, okay, so Joe doesn't get a rose from Susie, and Joe is in a limo, and you never see him again.
It's true.
But Bill, he goes to the wire, and he gets to marry her, but you never see them again.
Yeah.
When this season ends, everybody is 0-0 again. And you have a chance to retool and go after it again. You see us again, which is so cool. And each season is like a lifetime. And you know what? No team from one season to the next is the same. There's the 2020 Houston Texans.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put that on the shelf.
Yeah.
We're now building the 2021 Houston Texans,
Mm-hmm.
which can be completely different than what we did a year ago.
Okay. So obviously we've even seen that in the past year. You've looked at the Washington football team and the Carolina Panthers completely change who they are within 1 year. I mean, about a year ago, we were talking about the Washington formerly Redskins being called a racist, disgusting organization. And then all of a sudden, didn't they get an African-American female assistant coach?
And an African-American president.
Mm-hmm.
And their coach got cancer and battled through that courageously.
Mm-hmm.
The quarterback came back from just a career-ending injury. Yeah. They were the best story in the NFL.
Exactly. And just like that, they're different. They're rebranded. So I can definitely get where you're coming from, because we do hear things from Andre Johnson talking how bad the organization is. You hear in the media how like Bill O'Brien has destroyed the Texans, obviously, but I mean,
people have short memories, right? We just got to start getting things right more often than not going forward, and
mm-hmm.
we'll be fine.
Obviously, people are so impulsive and so short-term memory that like by the time you'll hear even like Stephen A. Smith be like Antonio Brown's the best guy in the world, and then like 3 weeks later when a tweet comes out, he's like, I've never been so disgusted in a human being in my entire life. It just switches off and on. Obviously, that's the whole entire point of the media industry. It's just
that's their job. That's what they do. They create interest.
Yep. They just have to latch on to like short-term impulsive emotions and just get our attention, which I don't really blame them for. But as a person who likes real football talk, it does get a little bit annoying sometimes. I must admit, I stopped watching First Take, but I am starting to get tired of Greeny talk about how amazing Sam Darnold is every week. I'm going to be honest. I love Sam Darnold's potential, but it irritates the crap out of me when I hear that he's better than Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes.
Well, Alex, I can't wait till 10 years from now when you're on First Take and I'm watching you. So
that would be entertaining. I don't know if I could handle Stephen A. I would go off on him, but maybe Max Kellerman and I could go at it. That'd be fun. But obviously, I think we're going to go on maybe one more question. This one's going to be less football related, just to keep the video short, just so we can just relax, enjoy our lives. Obviously, you're on vacation, so obviously want you to relax and enjoy your time in Utah. But this was something that we talked about before, just you and I. Can you just tell me and the rest of us the importance of an education? Because you got a BS as well as an MBA, I believe, from, of course, two very prestigious schools. Can you let me know and the rest of us how that impacted your career, job-wise and all that, and how it affects you to this day?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Going back and getting an MBA, I didn't realize how challenging it would be to find a connection point into a sporting environment. They don't recruit on MBA campuses, or at least they didn't 30 years ago.
Yeah. And
so while in my role, the MBA was invaluable in convincing Lamar Hunt that at the age of 29, I could handle his gem. That Bob McNair, he spent $750 million, that he could put me in a leadership role and I could do it. That mattered to them. But it was more challenging on the front end. Yeah. So I don't know how you overcome that. The way that I overcame it was through all of the informational interviews that I did. Okay. But there's got to be a better way. I just don't know what it is.
Okay. Well, obviously, when people first hear, because there's a lot of people starting to question colleges like validity, whether it's like, is it a scam? Obviously, I mean, at least my university, we increased the tuition prices 3%. So we're about $80,000 a year, which is insane when you think about it. But that made people start questioning, like, is Zoom University even worth it? Is education worth it? Do you believe it's worth it deep down inside? Do you think that's really worth it to go spend all this money just to be able to put something on a resume?
I think it depends. It depends on where you go.
Mm-hmm.
There are universities that provide exceptional value propositions,
mm-hmm.
That they're not, like Indiana, I thought was a great value.
Oh, yeah.
Not that expensive, and a great school. It was number 7 when I went there.
Oh, yeah.
Other schools like SMU maybe, and Harvard and others, the relationship network that they provide, because of the alumni, mm-hmm. and the people that you go to school with, and what they're destined to do. I think is really valuable if you take advantage of it.
Okay.
I've never seen education in a myopic kind of tunnel vision framework. In fact, I typically speak to the Clemson students from Houston before they go up.
Okay.
In August. And one of the lines I always use is, don't let academics get in the way of a great education. There's so many other things that you're learning, like yourself. I mean, you're now developing this webcast, podcast business, which is super cool, or myself as president of the student body, or people that you meet that become your lifelong friends that wind up giving you the opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah.
You can't just sit in your cubby and take tests, right? And study. You really have to take the full value of the collegiate experience in order to get the fair value out of it.
Okay. Well, wow. I mean, that was a really punchy line. Don't let what did you say? Don't let academics get in the way of your education.
A good education.
That's something I got to write down. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna definitely rewatch this and be able to write that down. Well, okay. One last question. One last one. I know I said it before. One last question. I know a lot of my fans are scouts, people like that. How do they kind of get their name out there and network themselves? Because I mean, at least at my campus, I used to be a sport management major. Like, I pretty much had to ask my professors to help me network. But not many people always have a brilliant professor who used to work at Nike and work at NFL law and all this stuff. So what would you say, like, if today they're like, I want to submit an application to the Houston Texans, how do they get their name separated from everybody else?
Yeah, so sending out resumes, I don't think that works. I think you gotta be patiently persistent in identifying an opportunity.
Yeah.
And find a seat on the bus somewhere to show what you can do. It's one thing to look at somebody's resume, to talk about their experiences. It's another to actually give the eyeball test to it, right? So at the Texans, we have something that we call the draft class. I hate hiring from the outside.
Yeah.
What I want to do is we take the brightest 9 to 12 college graduates that we can, and they have a 9-month window to come and work for us. There are only 3 things we're looking for. Do you have a great work ethic? Do you have a winning attitude? And do you have a desire to operate consistently with the values of our organization? And if you have those 3 things, then we start talking about how we can get you into a full-time job. And then we do it over again. And so all of our entry-level positions are filled by these people that have shown over 9 months that they have what it takes.
Wow.
There are a lot of paper tigers out there.
Yeah.
But you spend 9 months with somebody, you know their heart, you know their passion, you know their determination, their perseverance, all the things that it takes to be successful in this business. And so the key for people wanting to break in is find a way to get a seat on a bus. It isn't about a resume. And once you get there, create a raving fan. Whoever it is you're working for, if you're the ball boy, right? Think of a revolutionary way to manage the ball boy process and put it into place and demonstrate that no matter what job you're going to do, you're going to be great right where your feet are. You're going to take whatever job that is as the most important job on the planet, because that's how you find your next and your next and your next. And then eventually you build a reputation that people know you make things happen. You're serious. You're a player, and it just, as long as you continue to succeed. But the challenge is you're only as good as your last interaction. So it has to keep going. You have to keep stacking successes on top of each other.
That makes sense. I guess that's why you have to continue to adapt and just keep working. Because, I mean, work never stops. Grind never stops.
No. Nope.
All right. Well, Jamey, thank you so much for coming onto the channel. I really do appreciate it. I'm sure that we all are appreciating this. This will probably be a 2-part series. So it'll drop probably tomorrow, and then the next day. So I'll definitely let you know about it. But I just wanted to thank you. I know all of us thank you. So really do appreciate it again. Thank you guys so much. And thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate you, Alex. You're doing a great job and admire you for your initiative.
Thank you. I admire you for your hard work and continuing to work, even though the media and all the words try to say that you guys aren't working. So,
well, the Houston Chronicle said Jamey Rootes likes to have his serving of Texans sunny side up, and yeah, I mean, what good does it do to be down, right? I mean,
exactly. I mean, life is how you perceive it. There's always a lot of people who have it a lot worse. So, exactly. I mean, there's always some place to go up, especially if you're at rock bottom. There's always time to go up. So I'm excited to see the Houston Texans in 2021. You have a good day, and I'll see all y'all on the far side. Peace.
Go Ponies.
Go Ponies.